This is the story of a quiet four-star hotel in the Dutch countryside that witnessed three of the darkest chapters of the 20th century. A Nazi siege, one of the bloodiest airborne battles in history, and the secret founding of the world's most powerful elite network by a prince who lied about being a Nazi until the day he died. The hotel is called Hotel de Bilderberg. It sits on a wooded estate in Oosterbeek, Netherlands. Today, you can book a room there from around €80 a night. The hotel's own website invites you to discover the secret of Bilderberg. What it leaves out is just how dark those secrets turned out to be. The Bilderberg estate was purchased in 1913, passed through several owners, and opened as a hotel in 1926 under the Tafelberg Hotel Group. By 1933, the same year Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, it had doubled its room count and earned a reputation among wealthy Dutch holidaymakers as a place of total peace and discretion. A place where what happened inside stayed inside. That reputation would define everything that followed. Operation Market Garden, launched on September 17, 1944, was Montgomery's plan to drop 3 Allied airborne divisions behind German lines, seize a chain of bridges, and end the war by Christmas. The final objective was the bridge at Arnhem, assigned to the British 1st Airborne Division, roughly 10,000 men. The radios failed almost immediately. The drop zones were too far from the target. And waiting in the area, completely by chance, were 2 battle-hardened SS Panzer divisions that British intelligence had either missed or chosen to ignore. On day 1, the only organized German force blocking the British advance along the main road into Arnhem was a single SS training battalion under SS Sturmbannführer Sepp Kraft, and that blocking line ran directly through the grounds of Hotel de Bilderberg. Colonel John Fitch, leading the 3rd Parachute Battalion, ran straight into Kraft's troops at the hotel, and the fighting was fierce enough that the Germans did not pull back until roughly 9:30 that evening. Every hour spent in those woods was an hour not spent at the Arnhem Bridge. And the British never recovered the time they lost. By September 20th, the 4th Parachute Brigade had been ground down from 2,500 men to roughly 150 survivors, who made their last stand in the hollow ground beside the Bilderberg Hotel against German forces equipped with tanks and flamethrowers. A memorial plaque, still standing near the hotel, reads, "On September 20th, the remnants of the 4th Parachute Brigade held this hollow against German attacks, pressed with tanks and flamethrowers." The hollow carries the name of the brigade's commander, Brigadier John Hackett, to this day, and trees in the Bilderberg woods still carry the shrapnel scars from that fighting. The British evacuated across the Rhine on the night of September 25th. Of the roughly 10,000 men who had jumped 9 days earlier, only around 2,400 made it back. At least 453 Dutch civilians died during the battle. An estimated 90,000 to 150,000 people were forced to march from their homes as German forces stripped the area bare. Oosterbeek was not liberated until April 1945, 6 months after the fighting that gutted it. Hotel de Bilderberg survived with heavy damage and did not reopen until the summer of 1946. 8 years after those woods were a battlefield, a secret meeting at Hotel de Bilderberg gave birth to one of the most powerful organizations in the world, arranged by a man who had spent decades hiding a past that would have made the invitation list very awkward. Born in Jena, Germany, on June 29, 1911, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands had a wartime record that looked genuinely impressive. He flew missions for the Royal Air Force, served as Supreme Commander of the Netherlands Armed Forces from 1944, and was present at the German surrender on May 5, 1945. where he reportedly refused to speak any German to the surrendering generals. None of that was fabricated, but it existed alongside something he denied to his dying breath. Bernhard's Nazi Party membership card carried the date May 1, 1933, and it sat buried in his private papers at Soestdijk Palace until historian Flip Maarschalkerweerd pulled it out in October 2023, 19 years after Bernhard's death. Beyond the party card, he had belonged to the SS Cavalry Corps, the SA, the Motor SS, and the Nazi student fraternity. Before leaving Germany, he worked for IG Farben, then the world's fourth-largest company, and he served in the NW7 division, described as the economic intelligence arm of the Wehrmacht. He paid a courtesy call on Adolf Hitler at the Reich Chancellery on November 17, 1936, before departing for the Netherlands. His last interview produced this: "I can swear this with my hand on the Bible. I was never a Nazi. I never paid party dues. I never had a membership card." His biographer, Annetje van der Zijl, put it plainly. Bernhard may have later sincerely felt he was not a former Nazi, but he was one. On May 29, 1954, approximately 80 delegates from 11 countries arrived at Hotel de Bilderberg for what most understood to be a one-off conference. The intellectual architect was Joseph Rettinger, a Polish political advisor who believed a private, press-free forum where Western elites could speak without consequence was the answer to growing divisions between Europe and America in the face of Soviet expansion. Prince Bernhard supplied the venue, and on the American side, Rettinger recruited David Rockefeller and C.D. Jackson, Eisenhower's psychological warfare coordinator. The fingerprints of the Central Intelligence Agency on the founding are documented and specific. Academic Richard Aldrich wrote that the formation of the American branch was entrusted to Eisenhower's psychological warfare coordinator C.D. Jackson, and the first meeting was funded by the Central Intelligence Agency. Central Intelligence Agency Director Alan Dulles discussed the conference with his deputies 8 days before it opened, and one of the meeting's rapporteurs held a signed Central Intelligence Agency contract from January of that year. The honest summary is that the Central Intelligence Agency helped make it happen without being solely responsible for it. The group took its name from the hotel and, as journalist Robert Ehringer confirmed, never met there again. Bernhard chaired it from that first meeting, which meant a man with a Nazi party card locked in a palace safe ran the most exclusive gathering of Western power for the next 22 years. Section 5. Bribes, Scandal, and the Fall. In December 1975, a United States Senate subcommittee uncovered that Lockheed Aircraft Corporation had paid approximately $22 million in bribes to foreign officials worldwide, and among those officials was the Prince of the Netherlands. Bernhard had accepted $1.1 million from Lockheed in the early 1960s to steer Dutch aircraft purchases toward the Lockheed F-104 Starfighter and away from the French Dassault Mirage. A damning 1974 letter in which he had demanded commissions on Dutch government deals became public. A commission headed by European Court Judge Andreas Donner produced a 240-page report finding his conduct extremely imprudent. Criminal charges never came, with Queen Juliana reportedly threatening to abdicate if prosecutors moved against him. What did come was the dismantling of his public life, resignation from the Dutch armed forces, a ban on wearing military uniform, departure from the boards of over 300 companies, and the end of his 22-year Bilderberg chairmanship. The 1976 Bilderberg meeting was cancelled outright, the only cancellation in the group's history before the pandemic. Bernhard died on December 1, 2004. A posthumous interview that month contained his final word: "I have accepted that the word Lockheed will be carved on my tombstone." Hotel de Bilderberg is still open and taking bookings. A plaque in the lobby marks the 1954 conference. About a kilometer down the same road sits the Airborne Museum Hartenstein. 3 kilometers further, the Arnhem and Oosterbeek War Cemetery holds over 1,680 graves. Every September, more than 10,000 people walk the annual Airborne March through the Bilderberg Woods, passing trees that still carry shrapnel scars from 1944. 3 dark histories, all converging on the same address. British paratroopers bled in those woods in 1944, and a German prince with a hidden Nazi party card chose that same ground a decade later to build a secret forum for Western power. That prince chaired it for 22 years, accepted over $1 million in bribes while doing so, denied his Nazi past in his final interview, and had his original membership card surface in a palace archive 19 years after his death. The hotel still stands. It hosts conferences. Its website invites you to discover the secret of Bilderberg. Now you have.